Join our knowledgeable hosts as they dive into the captivating universe of comic books, movies, TV shows, and pop culture. Get ready for vibrant discussions and a shared enthusiasm for all things superhero and beyond. A comic podcast straight from the panels. This is Beyond the Capes.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Cape podcast. With us today is Sal and Ramsey. We have a special project to talk about that we will be getting into later. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
Happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. As people listen, the main attraction is you guys are making one of the most important biographies I would put up there in comic books to me. And that is Kingdom Come. What Alex Ross did with that artwork, and not just the artwork, but the story that it told and how much it resonates, is huge impact across the comic book community. I think most people can agree that it's in the top for most storylines. How did we get here? How did we decide that, this story needs to be told? People kind of really need to see what this brought, because this, like I said, Kingdom Come, I would say you could either go top 10, top 20 in the comic book lines easily.
Top 5. I always thought it was in the top 5 personally, but that's me.
Oh, I agree. How did we get here?
Ramsey and I Ramsey's an independent filmmaker. We started working together about Ramsey, 7 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that. Yeah. And we created content for social media and for our different things we're doing with Alex, because I've been working with Alex for about 25 years or longer. And we've always wanted to flesh out something a little more ambitious than just a standard kind of a story about Alex, even though that's what the fan base had wanted. And kind of knowing the behind the scenes a little bit, I always knew how rabid the fan base was for Kingdom Come and how it still resonates today. So we thought, instead of just a standard documentary about Alex, which, we talked about a little bit, we liked the idea more of being specific and doing something about Kingdom Come because of the fan base loving it so much. And also I had a kind of a behind the scenes knowledge of it, and all the sketches, the prelims, the stories, the development of the project itself. So we just thought, hey, let's fine tune it a little bit. And I always felt that, Kingdom Come was one of the most important graphic novels, in comic history personally. And so Ramsey and I agreed, and that was pre-COVID, and here we are.
Definitely.
Takes a little time.
Things got frozen a little bit during COVID, unfortunately.
There was a little bit of a lockdown.
Yeah, we had to put it on ice. It's not hard. It's not easy to get interviews with masks on. So
no.
But here we are. We finally, to Ramsey's credit, we finally pulled it out of Frankenstein was in a block of ice, and then finally we're like, all right, let's get him out and let's get this thing done. And then having done crowdfunding in the past, Ramsey's done it. I've done it with my indie books. I felt I really liked that direct conduit with the indie market and the indie fans that like that relationship with creators directly. And we thought, hey, let's deliver this straight to the fans.
Definitely. Now with COVID, did that, even though you couldn't get your interviews and you couldn't move forward with it, did you find that making this documentary, it did help because you had so much extra time to really kind of almost storyboard your documentary? I mean, really flesh out like, all right, well, maybe let's not rush into it. Let's really think about who we can have in this and what stories they can add and tell to this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the pre-production of this, I would say, I don't know, Sal, I was thinking about it because you said how long, and we've been, talking about this, but I guess it was probably in 2016 was when we actually first met. And then I was a little bit maybe more of an outsider to like the deep comic world. I mean, Sal is like the comic guy, he's like one of the go-to guys in the comic industry. And so I linked up because I'm a filmmaker, and he brought me in to kind of produce some content with Alex. But I saw right away that Alex was something different. and there was a really cool story here. And then the more that we kind of, the more that I learned about his audience and his fans and the respect of his work, and then also myself, kind of being in awe of it, because I was kind of discovering a lot of it for myself at the time. That was huge. So the pre-production of the film, I would say, was like 2018-ish, was when we kind of had the first drafts of story ideas about how we're going to approach the documentary and what we want to hit. And I think if we look at it now, we probably stayed pretty true to that. But, we all got sidetracked a little bit on various things and, aspects of all the kind of business that we work in. And so we were finally, it was about in 22, I think we got the main interviews with Alex and Mark. We were like off to the races from there. And then there's over 30 interviews in the film. So we were kind of traveling around to cons. We were traveling around the country, picking up people wherever we could, some folks in Chicago too. And we finished shooting, I guess it was probably about a year ago. We've been in post, not longer than that. It's post for a little over a year. So since maybe spring of 23. So there's over 150 animations in the film, and bringing stuff to life. We scan thousands of images. We're using visual enhancements on everything, bringing it to life 3D, outside of just the storytelling of it. So it's been a labor of love. It's been a big task, and the film is almost done right now.
As long as you think it's going to take, add another 30%. It's always something. And
exactly.
The animators need time. The editing takes forever. The post-production takes forever. Trying to line up the interviews isn't always easy, because people really want to do it, but sometimes you can't make it work because of travel, because of schedules. Then there's the financial aspects of it. So making a movie is kind of like giving a cat a bath. I mean, it's constantly, there's always a new hurdle. There's always a new thing. You have a vision of what you want it to be. You put it together, and then sometimes you're like, oh my God, that's not what we want at all. You got to keep refining it. That's why,
plus, are we at the starting line? So are we at the starting line or the finish line? That's the question.
The
film's done, but Kickstarter, getting ready to bring it to the fans, figuring out how we're going to do that, and being able to do it in a way that is really going to give fans, I think, a great value and a cool way for them to become insiders and join us on this journey. Like, that's what we want to do with Kickstarter. And so getting ready for that has been a big task. And then, fulfilling it is going to be a big task that we're really excited to do. We're really excited to bring this film to the fans first. And the Kickstarter is going to be, the film's going to live on, no doubt, but the Kickstarter is going to be the way, like, for the next year, if you want to see this film, you're either going to be, on the Kickstarter, we have an opportunity for folks to, they can stream the film on our platform. And also we've got exclusive Blu-rays to this Kickstarter. And until the film kind of hits traditional VOD, or whatever kind of theatrical premieres we sort of do with this in 25, this is going to be the way to see the film.
Definitely. Now, making a film like this, and obviously Kingdom Come is DC Comics. Like I said, we're talking one of their top storylines. Did HBO or anyone, just out of curiosity, did they ever reach out? Because this seems like a project they should have covered, especially after they did their documentary on DC history. Alex Ross is just one of those artists. You might get another Alex Ross sometime, but it's going to be a long time before you ever have anyone.
It's the type of thing where if you want to do it, you really just have to do it. Now, when I approached DC years ago, right at the beginning, you have to get permission. You have to kind of get some sense of, in writing, what you're going to do, so that you can't just go out there rogue and do whatever you want. But at the end of the day, Remzi Remzi's an independent filmmaker, and I'm an independent comic artist, and we're kind of the same, kindred spirits that way. We also understand that if you want to make a film or make a comic, you just got to do it yourself. You have to put, you have to put your hand in your pocket and start to say, all right, make the film. People are like, well, how do you make a film? You got to just make the film. And in some ways, COVID was a blessing in disguise, because it allowed to continue to kind of fund the things that needed to be done to get us almost there, to get the guts and to get the foundation of the doc done, with the interviews and the animation and the editing and the music and all the other kind of window dressing that has to go with it. So HBO never. We're doing this. We're strictly independent. We're doing this independent. Now, to Ramsey's point, where it's gonna land in the future, we don't know. I mean, no one. You know, I mean, I haven't had anybody knocking on my door, so that's why you have to always approach it as if you're doing it yourself. If somebody wants to come and say, you know, hey, Ramsey, Sal, you know, I'm listening, but you know, if you really want to do it, you just got to do it yourself. And when you have that mindset, then it frees you to say, all right, no one's coming to rescue me. There are no heroes that are going to come and say, hey guys, you really want to make a movie? You know, here's a blank check. If that guy's out there, I don't know where he is.
No, I mean, filmmaking is way, you know, it's a crazy business model. It's always been, I guess, and it's always evolving. But where it's at right now as an indie filmmaker, I mean, if you can directly connect with your fans, that's just gold, because everybody, even studios, I don't think that they can figure out the way to effectively do that right now, because they don't have the box office like they used to, theatrical and streaming.
And you got to know who your fan base is, and we know who our fan base is. I mean, we don't know.
We know
now,
exactly. Yeah,
you know. And
definitely.
So Ramsey was not the biggest comic guy, but then he became a comic guy. But he was a great filmmaker, so that's kind of where we talked about it. He knew what we wanted. What we wanted to do. We had different kind of paths that it went. We knew there was a tremendous, tangible desire for something with Kingdom Come. People really wanted it. So we kind of had a leg up that way, where we knew that we weren't just going at this from right field. Kingdom Come is a huge, working with Alex 25 years. Anybody who's involved or knows the comic business knows Kingdom Come. But that also can work against you, because there's a tremendous responsibility when you say you want to make something about Kingdom Come, because the fan base knows what it is. And if you're not going to give them something that speaks to them and has reverence for the subject matter, they're going to hand it to you. They're going to really, you're going to hear it. And that's why, like what Ramsey was saying, to do crowdfunding and to do it through Kickstarter, having done indie projects, comic projects directly, I love the fact that we can reach the fans directly, that they don't have to wait for it to come out or to see it on a streaming platform. And if that happens later on, terrific. But right now, we want it to say, hey guys, here it is. You can get it directly through us, and you could see this before anybody else.
Awesome. No, I think that's definitely the best way to do it, especially with the subject. Speaking of, considering how like I said, how much Alex Ross and his stories have kind of changed the comic industry, and again, he's a milestone person within the comic book industry. Where do you even begin making a documentary? Because obviously, you can't talk about Kingdom Come without talking about Alex Ross, and you really can't talk about Alex Ross without bringing up Kingdom Come. Where do you even begin to start a foundation for this film, and then kind of figure out a timeline of how to branch it out, because it is a lot of information to unpack?
Yeah. I'll take that one. I mean, I think being an outsider gives me an advantage in that way, or at least that's how I saw it in the beginning, where it's like, I needed to understand this stuff, and I wanted to be able to educate people who aren't coming from the hardcore background. I mean, the film is for the fans, no doubt. There's, like I said, hundreds of animations we've done. I mean, we've scanned thousands of images, thumbnails, and photo reference, and it's all there, stuff that they've never seen, and delivered, I think, in a really cool, interesting way. But also, I wanted to contextualize the book exactly like you said, because it means a lot more when you understand the state of mind of the creators, which is like, these guys are building on a history, on a tradition that is like, it's very, it's very much of the modern pop culture era. It's like, this stuff is the most popular kind of zeitgeist sort of entertainment, and it's drawing on this huge history. Alex is one of those guys, and Mark too. Like, they're like basically, the comic book historians themselves. They have this encyclopedic knowledge of the medium and the characters that they bring to it. And I think that's why Kingdom Come is one of his most beloved books, is because they really had a reverence for these characters. They knew the whole backstory, and they're tying it in and they were responding to the work at the time. So we kind of contextualize it in that kind of 90s era. The nice thing about it, though, is that the book, it's still relevant today. I mean, people read it. It's never gone out of print, and there's, the fans love it. So it's stood the test of time. I think just, you can't, there's no substitute for that.
Definitely. Now, obviously, you guys had a lot of information, and you're both very passionate, not only now in comic books for both of you, but in the filmmaking. Was there any hard part to this film? I mean, obviously, this is an easy one just because you have so much love for both what you're doing and the material itself. Did any hardships come up, like just trying to make it?
COVID was.
Oh
yeah, it was Ramsey was without him kind of lighting the flame back up again. We lost a lot of momentum. I think everybody did with COVID. We were on a good roll. We had a good vibe. We felt we knew what we wanted to do. We had initially got a lot of great interviews, which was kind of got us off and running. We were able to get a lot of great creators here in Chicago, Alex and Mark and a lot of guys here in town. But COVID, it really forced us to shelf this for a while. And so when we wanted to fire it up again, we were like, okay, let's do this. But we were like, wow, we still had a lot of work to do. We knew that we were kind of behind the 8 ball, because if we're going to do this, then you kind of go, okay, if you're really going to doing it is one thing, finishing it is another thing.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of projects that people talk about and just don't seem to ever get finished, because there's always something in the way. As you get older, our lives become more complicated, and you got families and kids and all kinds
visualizing. I think from my standpoint, visualizing the book and finding the way that we were going to treat the book that was something new, that was something unexpected, but was also like something that fans would be into. I think that was probably the biggest challenge. And the byproduct of that was we were working with a pretty big post-production team on the animations and the editorial side of it. So, film is mostly like spreadsheets and Zoom calls and logistics. Like it's like years of that. And that's the behind the scenes work of film. That's not that sexy. But that's like, you gotta be, I'm grateful for every time, no matter what we're doing, I'm grateful for the opportunity. So I never, it's great work to be doing. So I never feel discouraged by that. But sometimes when you're in the thick of the post-production side of it, it can be like, it's just a slog. It just takes a long time. Like you want things to go faster, but they just can't go faster.
It takes a long time. I mean, principal photography is almost the fun part. It's the easy part, because you can control a lot of those things, and you get some great interviews. We got some lots of happy accidents that way, where you never know what you're going to get from some people. And so you have to do a lot of interviews. Now, unfortunately, there's some you want to get that you don't get. It didn't work out. And you look back and go, wow, I wish we could have got, but it's a long process. It's a grind. And so you have to kind of keep your eye on the ball and say, okay. And let's keep moving and not try to, get too far over your skis, and just keep going.
And you're cutting down from hundreds of hours of footage.
Oh yeah.
I mean, hundreds of hours of footage.
And you got to leave some things some things out that maybe you liked, because you got to do what's best for the film to make it move better.
Tell the story.
What did we cut out from our first rough cut, Ramsey? Like 20
tons of stuff. I mean,
tons of stuff.
We keep it like
better. If you look at when we looked at the cut down version, and again on the Blu-ray, we're excited to be able to bring extra content and things like that. But you got to go, okay, this is nice, but it's almost like that comedian that they're great for 35 minutes, but when they go 50, you're like, all right, I wish you would have stopped 20 minutes ago because I'm bored now. You got to know when to get out.
Right. We try to keep the film tight, and then there is like a lot of really great content that we're still kind of figuring out the plan part of. I mean, that's part of the cool thing with Kickstarter is this is kind of just like the first leg of the journey with the film. And there's a lot more, I think, life to this project. And so the truth is it never ends. I have another feature that I did, and, it's been done, so to speak, for years, but it's like it's always on the back burner. It's always cooking. There's something going on with it. and it never ends. And that's, I mean, it's kind of the pleasure of it, because these projects, they stick with you for a long time. So you try to pick ones that really mean a lot, and that you enjoy working on, because you're going to be working on it for a very long time.
Oh, definitely. Now, for everyone that's listening, if you haven't figured it out by now, we are talking about Alex Ross's Kingdom Come. Great break book. How would you describe this? Because I feel like if you had a group of people that are new comic book readers, because I do feel like if I go to my local LCS, like myself and some other people, we're the poll list people who come in regularly for Wednesday. But now we do have a lot more people coming in that are kind of really just discovering the medium. I think comic books are starting to slowly creep back up again. What would you tell them that this film is about if they were to ask?
Well, I would say this film is about the making of Kingdom Come, which is a legendary 90s era graphic novel, but it's also about the artist Alex Ross. It's about the history of comics, about how comics are made, why comics are important, and about why this book really sits in that kind of, you said top 10, top 5, top 20, whatever. It's in the top list. And and Alex is a household name to comic fans, but to people outside, or people who are just getting into it, maybe less so. And so I think, like, my thing about it, and a lot of people we talk to, is take a look at it, take a look at the art, and know this is like a personal story. Like, the main character is basically modeled on Alex's dad and photo reference from his dad. And he's telling a big story that's about a lot. And so this is like a big artistic work that is comparable. I would say this holds up to any pinnacle artistic kind of work you find anything, and just look at a few of the panels. You don't even have to, truthfully, you don't even have to know who these characters are to appreciate the art. It's unbelievable. And he paints every single panel.
And it was important to get a lot of the narrative and the art and the writing and the process, but also about the behind the scenes, what was going on, what motivated the project, what initiated, Alex's approach to it, the models that Alex used for photo reference, and also how it impacted, what influence it had on the comic business moving forward, of stuff we still see to this day that were inspired by and because of Kingdom Come. I mean, even James Gunn just released the image of his Superman movie, and he's using the Kingdom Come Superman redesigned by Alex. Little things like that, but lots of other things, other characters, everything. And then also the impact that it had on the fans, other creators, people that, from writers to artists to guys in the business, or just, the everyday fan that really loved comic, what their response to it when it came out, and why it resonates with them to this day.
No, definitely. And it's nice what you guys are creating, because there are documentaries out there on comic books, but when you try to tackle comic books as a whole, it's very difficult where to start and how much to really, where do you begin and how much do you explain something before moving on. I do think this is a better approach, taking these big chapters and really breaking them down. Because this is a project that if someone was to ask me, I would say Kingdom Come, like Civil War, and certain Spider-Man ones, like those are like the recommendations I would always give someone. Like, if you need to start in comic books, this is where to start. And now it'd be nice to be like, oh, well, I have a DVD. You really want to see what pinnacle of comic books are.
If you've never read Kingdom Come, this will definitely pique your curiosity. You'll definitely, it speaks for itself in the sense of the art, the writing, and that was really most of the eye candy, and the visual was important. That we've got some amazing animation. How many clips do we have in there, Ramsey?
There's like over 150 animations that we did for the film, and
Alex's
sequences,
work,
and
brought to life, so to speak, with sound and voices and music. And so that was sort of the DNA of the film. Had to be like, okay, you want to know why this was a great book? It's the art and the writing and how they're married perfectly.
Well, I like
the 90s. Remember, we also touch upon what was going on. You remember in the 90s, the comic business was crazy. Could have done a doc just on the comic business in the 90s. It was
for sure. Yeah, I liked the what you said about choosing a single work to go in at it, because it's like, then you can really go, you can just go deep and focus on that. It's almost like, even if you aren't necessarily familiar with the book, it's even better in a way, because it's like you're discovering and shining a light on something in a really deep way. And I think that I mean, look, I came to this a little bit later, and I have been blown away by the comic industry and the fan base and the culture. And so that really profoundly left an impression on me that has influenced, you know, the making of the film for sure.
Definitely. Now we'll be excited when you guys got the Kickstarter and we can actually get this project up and going. Is this something that you would want to premiere almost at like all Comic Cons, or is this something that you would rather, you know, kind of keep it to like maybe a select showing in certain key cities? I know obviously Chicago for us is a big one. Or is this something you would like to take around the circuit, just, you know, take the bus and, you know, WonderCon, New York, LA, and just
I think that remains to be seen. I mean, of course, as a creator, you want, look, above all, I mean, Remzi and I agreed with this from the start. We want people to see the film. We're not out there to dangle this and say, oh, well, you got to jump through hoops and you got to go through this to get it. The goal is to get the film seen. What good is it if you're not going to get it out there? And so, yes, to all of the above. Will we do screenings at cons? If they want us to, will it be out there, you know, with a broader? That remains to be seen. I mean, we're really, really early on. We're like freshman year of high school here. You know, we're still trying to figure out where the hell our locker is.
I mean, yeah, I definitely think we're going to be screening it, and there will be premieres and such. But right now it's all TBD, because we got to do this Kickstarter. We want to bring it to the fans. We want to finish it out strong. And then we're super committed to delivering it. So people are going to have this, you know, all the rewards, the film, the Blu-rays, everything. They're going to have this by spring 2025 at the latest. And we're like really committed to delivering the film. This isn't one of those Kickstarters where you're going to have to wait like 3 years to get your thing. Like the film is basically done.
Is paramount with Kickstarter and with crowdfunding. If you only get one shot at it, and the fan base doesn't want to hear your problems. So we understand that order fulfillment is 99% of doing any of this stuff. I mean, otherwise, I don't want to show this in my garage on a sheet, you know, on a bedspread. I mean, but you want to be able to reach not just, you know, through Kickstarter, but that indie market, that indie fan base through crowdfunding is a unique beast. They are big time fans. They are rabid about this stuff. They will comment,
and they like the extras. They like the Kickstarter extras.
They'll also let you know if you F it up. I mean, they're not shy to write you immediately to say, hey, what's going on? So, you know, you're making a deal here with the devil to say, okay, you know, you got to know. When people come to me and ask about crowdfunding and Kickstarter, I say, guys, you better be ready to deliver a product, because nobody wants to hear your problems, and we're ready to deliver a product.
Definitely. Speaking of the extras that you guys had in all the interviews, as you kind of get ready to get this into the next stage, and obviously you still got, you know, a long way before you can even ever say that this, you know, this film is complete. By doing this, did you ever think, man, you know, we got enough? When's if we just did a biography just on Alex Ross? Like, now, you know, people have seen the work. Let's show them the man. Or, you know, Alex Ross said, you know, these are my top 5 artists or whatnot. You know, maybe like this kind of launched us into, now I have a future where I can do, you know, John Romita Jr., like, just, you know, throwing it out. Did you guys have any?
I mean, I think we're focused on getting this film done, but truthfully, Sal and I, you know, this collaboration has been awesome, and you know, we're independent, you know, guys. We're here, and we're not going anywhere. So this is what we do, and we're excited about all the possibilities. It's kind of like you got to pick and choose the right one, and sometimes that's half the battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right now, it's all about getting this out,
of course,
having it succeed, and getting it to the fans, and getting the response, because I have all the faith in the world in this film. If it was sort of kinda, it would be tough. It's tough to kind of get behind that when you think, oh, all right, you know, because I do all the cons, I do all the shows. I've been doing, you know, I do San Diego and New York, and I do all the shows, and I'm online all the time. So I'll get it if, you know, they'll hand it to me if this thing's a stinker or if this thing doesn't deliver on what the fan base wants. They're not shy about saying, Sal, what the hell happened? So I don't want to have to hide my face. You know, I have all the confidence in the world, and the fans are going to love this film. Trust me.
Oh, yeah. I have no doubt in my mind about that. Now, the one thing I do like about Kickstarter and Indiegogo and crowdfunding things is your guys' ability to give different tiers and kind of price them appropriately to give different rewards is always great, because I feel like most of you guys come up with really unique stuff that makes it really worthwhile, even for that small weight. Was there any ones that you guys specifically had in mind that were like really fun? Like, oh, if I could do this for like this tier, this would be fun. Because all I could think of is like that initial Kingdom Come like cover with the Superman and like this, like the wraparound. That would be like the pinnacle to my DVD collection, is having that.
I think a lot of it.
And I was like, oh man.
We were excited to be able to do movie posters, hypotheticals of what a movie poster would be. You know, because for 20 years, people have talked about when are they going to make Kingdom Come into a film, you know, a narrative film where they cast all the characters. And so that was always kind of like, okay, we want to do that stuff. We want to do a hypotheticals. We want to do, but also we know the fans still want, especially on Kickstarter, they like that unique experience. But Ramsey and I agreed from the start, the Blu-ray, everything has got to go around the Blu-ray, you know, getting this Blu-ray to you, you know, first and foremost, so we're going to do different.
Along with the digital, you know, so
along with the digital,
too,
you know, you can, whichever you choose. Some people love the Blu-rays. They love to have the tangible item in their hand. Others just like to be able to go, hey, I just want to stream it. I just want to watch it. So being able to do both was important. Then all the other things, sure, of course, posters and card sets and
comics too. Yeah,
lots of comics, lots of signed items, lots of different things. And so that stuff's important too. So yeah, we're going to have all those different tiers and all those different special things that the fans can either, you know, go with or decide, hey, at all different levels and all different price points.
Yeah, I always thought that'd be the coolest thing, especially when I heard about this project. Like, man, could you imagine as a first-time person getting a tier, getting this documentary, not really knowing what it is, and they're like, oh, with this documentary, like you get Kingdom Come the book, and like you really don't know what it is, and you watch the movie.
You know, that's an easy one because you assume that's the one they're going to want. Is they're going to want the book, and the good news is they've done so many different versions of it over the years, from a slipcase to a paperback to the individual issues. To, you know, some people want CGC versions of it. Some people want just a Blu-ray. Some people want the poster packages. I mean, order fulfillment, we've learned a lot over doing a few of these over the years, is kind of go figure what people want. Sometimes I'm shocked at like, this is what you want, really? And they're like, that's what they want. And
but it's something special, giving them something special, something exclusive.
Special. Yeah. But then sometimes they just want the basic, I just want to see the film. And that's terrific. That's kind of why we're here. But we also understand, look, there's lots of different, you know, you gotta kind of offer lots of ideas and lots of, you know, different tiers, because there's you look at your emails and you look at where people are coming at you from crowdfunding. They come from all over. I mean, they run the gamut. There are people on there that are never even read a comic sometimes, or never, you know, or just coming from the indie film community. So it's terrific to be able to, when you look at your data, that, wow, they're coming from where? And people are giving it a shot for the first time. Or, you know, I've done it with Kickstarter. I've funded a lot of things where you just watch the trailer sometimes and go, I don't know much about this, but this looks really cool.
And like, I want to support these
you
people.
You want to support these guys.
Yeah.
And so that's what's great about crowdfunding, is sometimes you're like, man, I don't know a lot about this, but this is really cool looking. And you get a lot of that. And that's kind of that's what else could you want as an indie creator? And to get new fans along with the you know, your fan base.
Definitely. Now with this film, obviously we know like a lot of new people are going to appreciate it. As veterans in the comic book, you know, industry and readers, Do you think there's still a lot that we don't know about Alex Ross and his journey in Kingdom Come, that this is really going to kind of take us by surprise or really give us a deeper insight, maybe from what we do think we understand about the story?
I think so. I mean, I monitor the comment section in our social media platforms, and I'm always amazed that by far when we post Kingdom Come images, those get the biggest response. But I also look at the comments of people that I've never read this. This looks really cool. People have talked to me about it. People have recommended this. What I love to hear is when you get a lot, because you remember now, not to age ourselves, but Kingdom Come is not a new book. It's 20-something years old now. So there's a whole new generation or two of comic fans or people reading comics that I'm not offended when they're like, I've never read Kingdom Come, or I don't know, I've heard of it, or I've seen it, or that kind of thing. But you're like, or when James Gunn made reference to Alex's Superman, logo that he's using in the new film, a lot of people didn't get it. They're like, where did that come from? Or that's from what? So you see, you got to live in the real world. Even my kids, they don't know Kingdom Come, but I turned them onto it, and they're like, oh wow, this is really cool. But as a comic, Ryan, as a comic guy, how comics are. Comics are like, there's a tremendous brand loyalty with comics. Some people are just DC guys. Some people are just Marvel guys. I'm an indie creator, so I've kind of grew up a Marvel guy, but I also love independent comics and independent films. So you just go at it from the point of view of like, you got to try to hopefully appeal to everybody, but also be realistic that not everybody's in it. But then you're like, wow, I never heard of Kingdom Come, but I saw it, and I think it's very, very cool.
Definitely. One last question before we kind of wrap everything up and we start giving information where people can go to support this. What would be like the moment, like, you guys know, like this really is like, this succeeded? I mean, obviously the Kickstarter getting funded, that's a big one. That obviously that's a goal for everyone, seeing that number hit. But even after that, is there like a specific moment like where you just be like, man, this really is like, we really did something here?
I mean, as a filmmaker, I think, getting an opportunity to bring together an audience is what's exciting, whether that's virtually. I mean, I definitely am looking forward to being able to just do screenings and be able to get the kind of, the fans are just amazing, and getting people together in like one place to sort of share that community is always, I mean, that's one of the great things about filmmaking, although it is changing now, and that part of the culture has definitely shifted. So I think even, us people who are maybe even just, a little bit older, we have it that we really appreciate that. So that's something I'm looking forward to, but truthfully, something that we can bring to the broadest audience possible, that people have heard of this film and they enjoy it and they get something out of it, or they learn something new. I mean, that's all you can ask for as a filmmaker is an audience who can engage with your work. So that's, the Kickstarter is
going to say the exact same thing. I'll be honest, is that we've had so many landmines and we've had so many hurdles to get to the finish line, and we're not there yet. That when it's released and it's out and we're done, I can exhale, because it's like how the fans feel about it, how it's received. There's only so much of that you can control.
You can't control it.
Being a comic creator, you put it out there, and some people are going to tell you, it's not for me, I don't like it. Other people are going to say, wow, that's terrific. When you put some out, you got to be willing to take both. Otherwise stay home.
Oh yeah.
For me, I will be able to go, it's out, which you can go, you gotta let, you just gotta let it kick it out of the nest at some point. And then you just go, okay, now it's going to take on a life of its own, whether people are going to be talking about this a year from now, whether it's that's all you can do to kind of cultivate that is to do the best you can do at making a good film. And I really feel wholeheartedly we've done that.
Definitely. And I think everyone listening will agree with that. So I know for everyone listening, you are listening to this, it will be September 24th. Everything will be live. For everyone that's interested in keeping up to date, how they can share this, how they can spread the word, where are the best place to keep up with you guys besides obviously our crowdfunding sites? Do you guys have any websites or anywhere where they can find you and stay up to date? And
yeah. So Legend of Kingdom
we
Come.
can get this project sped up.
legendofkingdomcome.com. Folks can come there, and you can find the Kickstarter link. You can join our newsletter for the film. It's we got a big growing audience for it to follow our journey. And also, of course, Alex Ross Art, which is where you can find all of Alex's work. And we've been producing content with Alex for a really long time. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there. People who haven't gone down the rabbit hole on YouTube, there's a huge compendium of all kinds of Alex's work
on YouTube and on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook. But yeah, I would say the legendofkingdomcome.com is kind of geared specific to the newsletter and the updates and all the most current information about the documentary, and to the
Kickstarter link is there too.
The Kickstarter link is where people can kind of get a little glimpse of it, a little preview clip, and then see the different things we're offering.
Awesome. Well, Sal, Remzi, thank you for coming on.
Really appreciate you having us.
I'm excited for this movie, being in the suburbs, being near Alex Ross, going to Elmhurst Library where he has all of his exhibits.
That's right. Okay. Yeah.
Has been
we were just out there. Sure.
Yeah. So I will be very excited for this. I think everyone listening will be very excited. Everyone, you're listening to this, it will be September 24th. Everything is live. Go follow them. Let's speed this up. Let's get Kickstarter funded. Again, thank you for coming on. Everyone listening, let's do this. Let's get this project up and running. Thank you guys. Everyone, have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.